In order to play our beautiful music in our town, we're going to use something new. We're going to create what's called a control object. It's just an invisible object that exists within our game that the player never sees, but that does a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. Let's go to the asset browser, right-click on a blank space, and choose Create Object. And let's rename this new object obj_control. We don't need to attach any sprite to it because it's never going to be seen, but we do want to uncheck where it says visible. Next, click Add Event and choose Other, Room Start. You'll notice under Other, we have quite a few other options here. I'm going to add a description. And in this new room start event, let's add in a very simple code block. I'm going to title it Play Music Based on Room. And we're going to use one of those switch functions again. So mine will say switch room. You'll see room is green. It's a built-in variable. So that's something GameMaker inherently understands. Open curly brace. And we're going to put in a case. And currently we only have one room, so this should be easy. rm_, and you can see that it's auto-filling here, colon, another open curly brace, and now we're going to write something new, which is an audio function. Audio play sound, see this one right here? And this function has a few arguments that it needs. First, it needs the sound you want to play, so type in the name of the sound asset, which is snd_town BGM. That's the music. And then the second argument is priority. This is sort of a local variable we can use to control whether a sound is more important than another. It's kind of a relative thing. It's not super important for what we're doing, so just go ahead and type 1. That's fine. But the third argument is whether the sound should loop or not. So it can either be 0 or false, or it can be 1 or true. So I'll just type in 1 to show that this loops, because we want our music to keep playing even after it stops. And now I can just go ahead and close this case. And remember, we're writing a switch function, so every case needs to have break after it. And we'll just go ahead and close that up. Now that we have that done, we can go ahead and place an instance of this object into our main game room. So open up your room. I've just got mine open in a tab at the top here. And make sure your instances layer is selected. And from the asset browser, just drag in an instance of that control object. Now it's going to appear very, very small, but just put it somewhere where you can access it. I've just dragged mine to the top left corner here, and I'm just going to zoom in so we can see what we're doing. Now we didn't attach a sprite to this control object, so it just appears as this generic gray circle with a question mark in it. That's okay because we never need to actually see it in our game. However, at the size it's at, it's pretty small and a little bit hard to find. So I'm just going to put my cursor on the corner and hold the shift key and just scale this up so I can find it a little more easily later on. You'll notice also that the object is technically outside of the room, but any object outside of the room, unless there's code that says otherwise, will still run, so that's totally fine. Now let's run the game again, and we can hear that music in action. So there it is, it's playing, which is fantastic. I'm just going to go ahead and close the game window, return to GameMaker Studio 2. If you find that your sound is a little too loud or even a little too quiet, you can always open it up from the asset browser. And you can change the volume here. I like mine around 0.5 or 0.48. But you can always adjust it, play the game again, and test to make sure you're happy with it. Next, we want to add some ambience to the town. So in your asset browser, you can go to your sounds group, double click on SND Town Ambience. And if your output here in the target option says mono, you can go ahead and change that to stereo. You can also adjust the volume and play it. But when you're done, let's go back to our control object and that room start event. In the same switch function, and in the same case, we're going to just add another line and have it play a second sound. Now, you can just duplicate this line and change the asset that it plays, and I'm going to do that by putting my cursor on the line with the audio play sound function and press Control D or Command D on a Mac. That'll just duplicate that line for us. And you can go ahead and change what asset we're playing here in this function, and we'll choose snd_tone ambience. And you can play your game again, and you'll hear both sounds playing at the same time. So now we have our music and our ambience, which is sounding much nicer. Again, you can always open up each sound and change its volume here if you just sort of want to change the mix a little bit. One's too loud, one's too quiet. But once you've done that, we're ready to move on.